Welcome to the online classroom for the module FIN4802, Advanced International Financial Management. So we've gone through all the relevant topics in the module, and we've been looking at revision, some important concepts to do with revision. So I now want to take you through part 2 of the revision, where I'm going to look at a second past exam paper, just taking you through some important things you're supposed to note for the exam. So I'm going to take you through the May-June 2020 paper. So this is revision. I'm working under the assumption that you're someone who's gone through all the material, you've understood it, and you now just want to remind yourself of that material and to cement your understanding. So the May-June 2020 paper consisted of 4 questions as usual, with each question having 25 marks. And then you had to answer all those questions, right? So students must answer all 4 questions, and students must show all workings and calculations. And it's also important to note that before any exam, always make sure you read your instructions carefully so that you follow the instructions and you answer what needs to be answered. A lot of the concepts that were covered in this paper and asked are concepts that we touched upon in the online classes or we touched upon in the previous revision class. So as you do more and more papers, the concepts will become more and more familiar to you. So we'll start with number 1. Number 1 says, assume you are a foreign exchange analyst at GHL Bank in Namibia. You have been approached by a customer who intends to pay Botswana Pula with 300,000 Pula in 30 days. And then you're given information on the current spot rate, and you're also given information on the current 30-day forward rate. So if you want to buy 1 Botswana Pula today, it will cost you $1.20 Namibian dollars. Whereas if you want to buy Botswana Pula 30 days later through a forward contract whereby you agree the exchange rate today, and you are obliged to meet your end of the bargain in 30 days at a particular rate, you can enter into a forward contract for 125 Namibian dollars. So remember, a forward contract is just an agreement to buy the foreign currency at an agreed rate on a set date at an agreed price. So everyone else in the market might be buying for something different, but you will have entered into a contract which guarantees how much you can buy it. So it's a way of hedging. We say it's hedging. It's hedging your position. You're protecting your position with regards to payments or receivables you might want to receive. And then we're also given interest rates. We're given the Namibian 30-day deposit rate. If you deposit money in Namibia for 30 days, you get 10% interest. If you deposit money in Botswana for 30 days, you get 9% interest. If you borrow money in Namibia for 30 days, you pay 12% interest. If you borrow money in Botswana for 30 days, you pay 11% interest. And then we're also given information on call options. A call option that expires in 30 days as an exercise price of 1.25 Namibian dollars and a premium of 0.04 Namibian dollars. And the size of the contract is 300,000 Botswana Pula. And then you have forecasted the future spot rates in Namibian dollars for British pounds in 30 days. So in 30 days, there are 3 possible outcomes. 1 Namibian dollar could be, one Botswana Pula could be 1.30 Namibian dollars, or one Botswana Pula could cost you 1.38 Namibian dollars, or one Botswana Pula could cost you 1.05 Namibian dollars, with these probabilities given here. So 27% chance it will cost you 130, 39% chance it will cost you 1.38, and 34% chance that a Botswana Pula will cost you 1.05 Namibian dollars. So we did look at this in the previous revision class. Remember, we said that for the exam, you need to be comfortable with how to hedge trade payables and how to hedge trade receivables. Most of the exam questions that have come in previous exam papers have been on how to hedge trade trade payables. So don't just focus on how to hedge trade payables. Make sure you also work through questions on how to hedge trade receivables, and you can find examples in the prescribed textbook in the chapter on managing transaction exposure. So there's an example on techniques used to hedge trade payables, which is what most exam papers go through. So this you should be familiar with if you work through the question I've worked through and go through the other revision paper. But you also have to read on how to hedge receivables. Let's say you're expecting to receive money. You need to know how to use a forward or a futures hedge, a money market hedge, or a put option hedge, or no hedge at all. So please do read through that because it could be asked in the exam. So we now want to answer this question. The question says, given the information above, advise the customer on how we can use the two hedging techniques, either a call option hedge and a forward hedge, in order to buy 300,000 Botswana Pula at the lowest cost. So in this question, we're just looking at two hedging techniques, the call option hedge and the forward contract hedge when you're hedging trade payables. Okay, so with a forward hedge, let's say we want to hedge our trade payables with a forward hedge. It means that we want to purchase Botswana Pula 30 days forward. In other words, we want to enter into an agreement with a counterparty, in which a counterparty will agree to sell Botswana Pula at us at an agreed exchange rate of $1.25 Namibian dollars. So if we enter into the 30-day forward contract, it means we will purchase 300,000 Botswana Pula at 1.25 1.25 Namibian dollars per Pula, and then that will mean that we will need 375,000 Namibian dollars for the 30-day forward contract. So with the forward contract, it's pretty simple. If you're hedging trade payables, you are entering into a contract to buy the foreign currency. Whereas if you're hedging trade receivables, you would want to sell the foreign currency. But the approach would still be the same. You just multiply the foreign amount multiplied by the spot rate, and then you get the amount you either need to buy, or then you get the amount you need to buy if it's a trade payables hedge, or the amount you need to sell if it's a trade receivables hedge. So I keep emphasizing, please be sure to go through this example in the prescribed textbook on how to hedge trade receivables. With trade receivables, the calculations are a bit different, but if you can follow the approach on how to hedge trade payables, you'll be fine with how to hedge trade receivables. And then the second approach you can use to try to hedge your exposure is a call option hedge, right? So the thing is, you're trying to compare different hedging techniques so that you can pick the hedging technique which will result in you spending the least amount of money. So with a call option hedge, what you would do, you would purchase a call option, or you would purchase call options, so to say. And then these call options, right? Or this call option, it would give you the option to purchase the Botswana Pula at an agreed exchange rate, In this case, the agreed exchange rate would be 1.25 Namibian dollars per Botswana pula. But the difference between an option and the forward contract we just looked at, with an option, you have a choice as to whether or not you actually want to buy at the agreed exchange rate. Whereas with a forward contract, you don't have a choice. It's a legal obligation. With a forward contract, it's a legal obligation. Once you enter into it, you have to meet your side of the bargain, whether you like it or not. You're legally obliged. But with a call option, it's a choice. It's up to you. You pay a premium, you pay money upfront, and then if the actual spot rate is favorable to you, you can exercise your option. But if it's not favorable, you can decide not to exercise your option. Then you can purchase the foreign currency you need in the spot market, where everyone else is purchasing, rather than exercising the option. However, if the rate at which everyone else is purchasing is unfavorable, you can exercise your option to purchase at the lower exercise price. So to be able to calculate the expected value or the expected cost of using a call option hedge, we need to create a table. We create a table with 6 columns, one column for the possible spot rate in 30 days. This will be given. We were given this. Let me just illustrate it to you above here. You see, we were given this table illustrating the possible spot rates. So you need a table which shows the possible spot rates in 30 days. You need a column that shows the premium per unit paid for the option. That would be the premium discussed about here, which is 4 cents per option. And then for each spot rate, you ask yourself, will I exercise the option for this particular spot rate? So let's assume that the spot rate actually ends up being 1.30 Namibian dollars. Now, we exercise the call option if our spot rate is more than our exercise price. The reason being, everyone else in the market will be buying each Botswana pula at 1.30 Namibian dollars, but we'll be able to buy a Botswana pula at 1.25 Namibian dollars based on the call option. So we would exercise the option. Likewise, if the spot rate is 1.38, 1.38 is more than the exercise price. So you would opt to exercise your option and to purchase at 1.25 Namibian dollars, whereas everyone else is buying at 1.38. However, if the possible spot rate is 1.05, you will not exercise your option. You will not buy at the option exercise price. Rather, you will go into the market and buy where it's cheaper. So when we're using a call option hedge, right, you compare your possible spot rates with your exercise price. If the spot rate is more than the exercise price, you exercise your option. But if the spot rate is less than the exercise price, you do not exercise your option. With a put option, it's different. With a put option, it's the other way. So with the put option, you would use a put option if you are hedging trade receivables. Like I keep saying, go through this example. If you're hedging trade receivables, you would use a put option. It's illustrated here, whereby you would exercise your put option if the exercise price is more than the possible spot rates. So that's also important. But that would be if you are hedging trade receivables. And then once you've determined when you will actually exercise your option, you then determine the total price associated with the particular possible spot rate. So if you do exercise your option, the total price that will be associated with the possible spot rate will be the exercise price plus the premium. The exercise price plus the premium. This will give you the total price paid per unit, right? Per unit or per Botswana pula. However, if you do not exercise the option, like at 1.05. You just take the possible spot rate and you add the premium, and then that gives you the possible spot price paid per unit, which is 1.09. And then you can multiply 1.29 times 300,000 Botswana Pula to give us the total amount of Namibian dollars we need if the spot rate ends up being 1.30. You take 1.29, multiply it by 300,000 to get the total price we would pay. So we would need 387,000 Namibian dollars if the spot rate ends up being 1.38. And then lastly, we take 1.09, multiply it by 300,000, giving us 327,000, which is what we would need in Namibian dollars if the spot rate ends up being 1.05. And then we have these probabilities. We would then multiply each of these total prices paid by the corresponding probabilities. These are percentages. And then we add them up and we would get the total expected value of cost with regards to the call option hedge, which is 366,600. So that would be the call option hedge. So the customer or the multinational corporation would then now choose between these two hedging techniques. So if you are hedging trade payables, you will want to choose the hedging technique that gives you the lowest cost. So in this case, the call option hedge has a lower cost. It's got 366,600 Namibian dollars compared to the forward hedge, which has 375,000 Namibian dollars. So the customer or the multinational corporation would choose to use the call option hedge. I emphasize again, make sure you go through how to hedge trade receivables if you're actually receiving money and not paying. When you're actually receiving money, you would want to pick the option with the highest amount in terms of the amounts you calculate through the forward hedge, the money market hedge, the put option hedge, or even no hedge at all. So please be sure to go through that. The past papers just tend to focus on the hedge for trade payables. All of the papers that I've seen, the past papers, they just focus on hedging trade payables. But you could get a question in the exam which focuses on hedging trade receivables. And then part B says calculate the expected value in rands